Babies, man. Gotta love them. Got to love them. Welcome back. Welcome back. Got back, had to go take care of a baby real quick. And really ruined. Well, ruined. Not really. I kind of remember my train of thought on what I was talking about before I left, but I kind of want to wrap it somewhat succinctly. Whatever I was talking about with babies, I want to just more or less wrap it up. Um, See if I can pick up what this guy's talking about. Personal experiences aside, which I listed a few in the last segment, we can move on from that. So beyond personal experience, my big issue with what I was getting on to in the previous section of the stream was here's what I think the issue is. Here's what I think it is. And this is my less than super informed opinion, more of just an observation. And I'm open to having it proven wrong. But my my observations on this are that the I don't know when, but at some point, movies and TV started more heavily only featuring large families, babies, young kids, all of that kind of stuff. Let's see if I can get this. Offenses. Okay. Uh, all that stuff more negatively than positively and started doing it more often so that the broader pop culture bend towards babies, kids, having large families, having deciding to have a kid at a young age, all of these sort of traditionally accepted kind of things that you would just do became less less positive, like became less on the surface. And more on the surface was the more on the surface was all the negatives. So that happens in the media and that happens in Hollywood and on shows and all of that. Okay. But what I think people didn't take into account of is how much of a bleed over effect that would have into everyday life, people's decision making on the day to day. And I think people still take for granted how much what you watch, what you see, what pop culture does, what mainstream culture influences. I think we all kind of take for granted how much it influences us in our day to day and how we think about the world and how we see the world. I don't think we grasp how much that actually affects us. But on the kids front, I think it affected people more, especially younger people that were growing up. Now, is it the most insane driving force? No. Is it a force? I think so. So it's not the biggest one, but it is one. Um, and I think that what it did was is you had this more often than not portrayal of babies, young kids, having kids, large families, having kids young as kind of this weird negative thing. And maybe not so much negative all the time, but just kind of weird, not kosher thing to do. It wasn't the culturally accepted thing to do. It became more about, or at least the lifestyle that was portrayed more frequently became the sleep around, enjoy your 20s, enjoy all of your 20s, um, live it up, find yourself, experience yourself, do what you want to do, don't sacrifice uh, for anyone else, find you and do that. Then in your 30s, maybe look to settle down and have like a kid, you know, later in life. And then even after that, like you saw people older than that, but they had like 4 or 5 kids or more than that. And like the whole thing with like the Duggars and other large TV families you see, the reason we watch those is not because, oh, this is normal. I wonder how these people do it. No, it's because it's a spectacle when people have 19 kids. Now, is it a spectacle when people have 19 kids? Yes, that's a bit excessive. Okay. But I've seen shows on TLC and I've seen other stuff where it's 6 kids, 7 kids. Like I've seen them get to that low. Um, and that's discounting some shows where, it may just be 5 or it may just be like Jonah K plus 8. Um, because some of those are like one in a million pregnancies where they all come out at once. Um, but it just became more of a weird thing to see people with large families. So now the the common culture is telling you to wait longer to have kids, to have less of them. Don't have a huge family. Have one or two, one or two, boy, girl, or just one. And it's this portrayal that that's what it is. That's the cool thing to do. Maybe you do wait, and when you're in your 30s, your mid 30s or something, and you've lived up through your 20s and you've done whatever you wanted to do, just whatever you wanted to do in your 20s, then you could settle down and have like a kid in your 30s. Um, and I think that started to affect the young and upcoming people coming up because now it's that's because now that's what people do. Now that is what is commonplace for people to do is to live it up in their 20s, chase careers, chase money, chase opportunity, chase themselves, and then settle down later in life and maybe have one kid, maybe have 2 kids. But the whole thing of that is even if you wanted to have more kids at that point, you're older, so your window to have kids is less. So you may only get 1 or 2 kids out. If you space them out and don't have them all at once. Um, and I think that does it such a disservice because I think it pushes because you're pushing that on people, but it's a dishonest push. And maybe pushing is the wrong word, but it's a dishonest portrayal of having kids and child rearing. It is the portrayal of the people who are making that stuff. And I mean, most of the people that are making those shows and making the more popular shows and making the movies are, more liberal minded, more left leaning. And it's like that in itself is not a problem, you know. Who cares? But coinciding with those views is generally the same set of views of what they're portraying, live it up in your 20s, have 1 or 2 kids later in life after you've found yourself. You shouldn't have a huge family. In fact, it's kind of bad if you have a huge family, you know, all the other things that comes with. So I just think it's a dishonest one because the honest push or the honest portrayal would be that ultimately there are people on both sides of that issue. And so for every person you have where maybe their life choices and their decisions in life lead them to maybe their life choices. Sorry, I'm trying to listen to this guy talk. Okay, I think right there is good. Um, but anyway, this dishonest push, I don't want to use push, this dishonest portrayal of child rearing and having kids led us not in whole, it wasn't the whole reason, but it was a part of the cultural change that led us to the point we're at now, um, in just the regular culture from the TV culture. Um, so if the media was going to do it right, the honest portrayal is yes, some people, their choices, they want to work in their career and they want to have kids later. They want to work. I'm not saying either one's right or wrong, but some people who are perfectly normal and functioning members of society and regular people, they want to get into their careers, have one or two kids later, maybe not have any kids, small minded. They want to maybe find a person to marry, maybe they don't. They want to live their life and pursue their career and chase opportunities and experience the world. And they're perfectly normal. And yet there are also perfectly normal people that want to get done with some level of education, like high school GED or like a associate's degree or something, to get a simple job, or maybe not to have any of the job in case of some women or some stay-at-home moms. Um, but even just to get like a technical thing, become a machinist, become a welder, become a mechanic, want to get into the workforce early, something like that. They don't want to pursue the 4-year education and then the multi-stepped career path. They want to maybe do a trade and get them there. And then they want to settle down at 22, 23, young in their 20s at least, young and before their mid 20s. They want to settle down, be married, and then start having kids and growing their family and maybe end when they reach that fifth or sixth kid. And that also is perfectly normal and they're perfectly normal too. And that's just, and it comes with its own things in life, and the other lifestyle comes with its own thing in life. But that didn't really get portrayed in the media that was at the front of the culture. Uh, from my observations of it, at least, it didn't get portrayed in the front of the culture. The people that I just mentioned, early settle down, have a bunch of kids, aren't pursuing 4-year degrees and huge career paths with six-figure salaries in white-collar jobs, they they're weird. They're strange. They're not what's up. Like that's not what's up. They're kind of different. What is present and what you should strive to do is our option. Like this is what all the normal people are doing. This is what all the normal people are doing is they are getting into careers. They're working in their careers. Maybe they have a person. They're working on that relationship with their person and working on themselves and have no desire to have kids. Don't be around kids. Don't have anything. And that kind of dishonest bend towards that is what ultimately affected where we're at now, where people in everyday society and just people that you talk to have that kind of negative leaning towards kids. And even if they don't have that negative leaning towards kids, they have that's the surface level jokes that we as a culture all share, right? And that surface level talk is, I think, indicative of where your actual culture is at. Um, what in the heck just happened on this play? What on earth? So is he just kind of falling around and whatnot? That looked so goofy. Anyway, um, so for example, your surface level jokes and the surface level jokes we had with even parents, people that we know love kids, um, parents of larger families, younger parents, older parents, different people that weren't parents. The interactions me and my wife had when we were pregnant and whatever the surface level jokes and the surface level conversation around kids and getting ready for a baby and all of that sort of stuff was always centered around the kind of subjects I mentioned earlier. Oh, I hope you're ready for messy diapers. I hope you're ready to get thrown up on. Oh, get a lot of shirts because they're all going to get thrown up on. Get ready to not sleep anymore. Oh, I hope you didn't plan on taking any trips. Oh, I hope you didn't do this and do this and do this. And in the end, those are all jokes. And so, it's like they're joking, they're being lighthearted. But that's all the surface level conversation you had with people. It wore me and my wife out taking that from everybody because it was the same stuff over and over again about all of these negative jokes and things that come with having a baby. And so, while probably on a deeper level, they were happy for you, of course, and they're like, oh, it's great. And when you actually get down and have heart to hearts with people and get their feelings about it, most people that are parents and that have been through it and even have larger families or younger or older parents will tell you it's the greatest thing you ever do. Like, it's great, it's a blessing, it's an immense blessing. Wouldn't change it for the world. And like that's the heart to heart that you can get to people, but that doesn't come out surface level with a lot of people. And if it does, generally they're older people. Like they're two generations removed from me and my wife's generation, you know, or more. Like those are the ones that still are able to surface level nonchalantly talk about it as an open blessing and not and be able to scoff at the little things that people say are negatives the way parents do. Like when they bring up uh, certain examples that aren't too specific, or like when they bring up the fact that you know they're gonna cry and they're gonna scream all the time, but it's gonna feel different because it's your own. It's and when it's your own, you are going to want to take care of them. It's gonna feel different when it's their own because you're gonna kind of know what they're crying and yelling about. Um, like that was a sentiment. So like they may bring up the fact that they're gonna cry and yell all the time, but they cushion that and they bring into effect with it the positive aspect of that, the true parenthood aspect of that. But that was increasingly rare. And I feel like that's a direct result of the culture moving there first. Well, not the culture, but the media, the pop culture, the celebrity culture moving there first. And then now it's affected the everyday culture where surface level, anyone your generation or, well, my generation or younger is going to be the all the negative, jokey stereotypes and none of the positive things that come with the parenthood, um, which sucks. I'm gonna see if I can sync this clip real quick before I get on to anything else. Da-da-da-da-da. First down. I think he actually says first down before he makes the motion. Yeah, so like, we'll listen to this. Um, which is sad. And but yeah, it wore me and my wife out listening to people talk about that. We're just so ready to have her so we could experience it, so then we could go tell people how wrong they were. Because I think me and my wife both knew that really, really, it wasn't going to be that horrible of an experience. Um, and that it was different when it was your own kid. That all of these things, like we were ready for all of those things. Um, and that doesn't get applied. And my wife comes from a larger family, and I want a larger family. And my wife wants a larger family compared to the society. Um, so we both want a larger family, not stupid huge, but larger. Um, and that's just, that's weird. Like we tell people, I became the butt. Ooh. I became the butt of a lot of jokes because I like the idea of having a big family or a bigger family. And you like get stoked about, oh my gosh, I can't believe you want that many. Oh, I can't handle that many, whatever and whatever. And it's like, I get so tired of that because Yes, I watch the same shows you watch. I talk to the same people you talk to. I get that, you know, having that many kids. You don't think I understand that having four or more, three or more mouths to feed? Heck, you get into like five and six territories. Like, you don't think that I understand that having that many mouths to feed would be a burden? No, I understand that that is a burden and that's a choice you make and it's whatever. But you don't understand that for me, I I would not get any extensive happiness from being a single playboy millionaire billionaire running around jet setting all over the world. I would get very surface level happiness from that. What I have wanted more than anything and is confirmed in having my daughter now is that I what having that daughter has confirmed me more than anything is that my deepest happiness in life and my deepest accomplishments in life are going to be the kids that I'm blessed with and raising them and turning them into successful members of the next generation. That is going to be what brings me the deepest happiness. And so, yeah, I understand that if I had a larger family, that is a larger burden. But so is suffering through 9 years of medical school to become a doctor. But that's what those people really want to do. So when someone tells you that, oh, I'm going to go to medical school and be a doctor or a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon, you don't see the instant cultural impact of only being the negatives. And I have to travel so far in this, I'm going to go ahead and stop this right now because it's getting a little later. I'm going to go ahead and save this and pause this. We made it an hour into this thing, which is not bad progress um, to make. We got to get to 3.5, but we didn't make any progress at all. Um, but for example, when someone says that they want to become a doctor, you when someone's okay, so take into account the media and like people that you talk to. When they say that they want to become a doctor, you get the negative of cram studying, sleepless nights from studying, slaving away at a hospital for hours. Like the shows portray this to the interns, right? And they portray their lack of sleep schedule and their lack of um, personal life and all of the negatives that come with it. But they're always couched with in the same episode, same breath, same through line of that. It is always couched with the you're saving lives, you're making a difference. It's a high intensity game. You get all these awesome experiences with these people. You get like this whole thing. And so they're brought together. The people at the top and influencing culture and making stuff for the regular society to digest pair those together and they say this is all the negatives, but it comes with all these pros. It comes with all this awesomeness. And it's rarer to see. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's rarer to see across shows that feature large families, that feature young parents, that feature um, you know, babies and having one and raising a baby, all that. It's rarer to find one that doesn't just 80% focus on the nastiness, the loudness, the lack of sleep, all of that, and 20% or less on the unconditional love, the emotional weight that comes with that moment, the the persona change that that has on you, and the way it affects your mental and emotional spirit different. That may be an 80-20 balance. Whereas opposed to in other forms, it's more 50-ish, 50-50-ish. It's rarer to see someone take that 50-50. Now, of course, there are shows that highlight, birth and all of that, but I'm just saying across a general field, and I feel like that's reflected now in it was portrayed so long in pop culture and in celebrity culture that now in regular culture, regular people every day, it is, if I said, well, I don't particularly want to go to college, I would like to get out in the workforce and work and marry my high school sweetheart and start having a family. And my twin brother was to say, I'm going to this prestigious 4 year institution to then go on for another 6 years of specialized medical school training to become a doctor. Okay, well, this guy is going to be like, wow, that's awesome. What a success. Yeah, you're going to have sleepless nights. Yeah, you're going to have no personal life, whatever. But on the back end, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to be saving lives. You're going to get to experience life. You're going to have that huge paycheck. You're going to have all of this. Whereas this person is like, you're really not going to go get a higher education job. You're gonna start having kids in your 20s. Like, you're not gonna go travel the world. You're gonna waste all that potential income putting it on kids. You're gonna do all this. You sure, like, you're gonna do these things? Like, you could live it up in your 20s. You could go anywhere you want. You have no responsibilities. It's like this whole thing. You could be free. You don't want to do that? You want to do this. You want to just like instantly tire yourself down. Yes, I do, because all of that is not what I'm driven to do. It's not going to give me deep emotional happiness and fulfill my life. I want to do that. I want to do the other side, and whatever complications come with that are on par with the complications that come with the other one. They're just a different set of complications for different things. Um, but what I will leave, what this kind of crazy end of the night stream with, what I will leave this with is across these segments of this live stream that you've probably watched. Most people watching this have watched this over the span of 3 days, and this is the third day of you watching a crazy through line about kids and child rearing, and me talking about and half ranting about societal pressure from pop culture and celebrity culture. What the ultimate end all is that different people want different things, you know, and that's not a revolutionary statement to say. Different people want different things. The hard part of that statement is equally supporting, equally understanding, and equally encouraging people's desires for different things. Now, does that mean you have to do all three of those things? If someone says, I'm going to run off and be a bean counter at a bean farm to save up to buy a Bugatti. No, you don't have to be unequally encouraging like that. You obviously there are exceptions to every rule in life. So yes, these three rules, that doesn't mean that you can't ask someone or come to someone and say, "Have you thought this through? Have you thought this through? Um, you know, have you considered these things? Have you done this? Have you done that?" That doesn't mean, like saying what I just said, to be equally encouraging, equally understanding, and one other equal thing that I can't even remember, but I know the gist of the three. It doesn't mean you can't come to someone and say, "Are you thinking this through? You want to start a family at 21. Okay, well, are you married? Maybe. Okay, have you and your wife thought this through? Like, baby's gonna need formula and whatnot. Baby's gonna need this. Baby's gonna need some things. Babies don't need everything that the world says that they need. All these different things that experts and people like babies don't necessarily need all of that. But there are some things that they do need. I think my earbuds just died. They did. So you're picking this up through probably my laptop audio now at the end, so I'm going to wrap this up even faster because the audio quality's gone down. Anyway, the point of it all being is everybody wants to live their life differently, and we should all be living life to fulfill our deepest emotional happiness and not chasing surface level happiness. And people are going to find deep emotional happiness doing a variety of different things. And I think one thing that will help a lot of people come together and a lot of people understand more and be more understanding and come back to each other so that we can talk about a litany of different issues better is if we learn that someone can come to us with a lifestyle that we don't agree with, that we don't endorse, that we don't necessarily support. But the only important question is that does that make you like emotionally happy? Does that give your life meaning? And if they say, yeah, it's giving my life meaning right now, go for it. Go for it. But we have to be honest in that. A lot of what I've been talking about, the big problem I have with it is the dishonesty. We have to be honest about it, and I feel like people weren't necessarily, I feel like people have got us in a point because of the dishonesty that we handled child rearing with. We've gotten to a point now where certain lifestyle choices are considered weird or uh, not normal and not necessarily encouraged. And I'm saying we need to get back to understanding that some people want different things that bring them different emotional happiness, and it may not be what you think is right, but that doesn't ultimately matter. And we just need to accept that people want to live their lives different ways. Now, why did we talk about all that across 3 streams and across this live stream that's been going on for 2.5 hours basically? Why did we talk about all that? Because I had nothing else to talk to. And right now, live, it's just me. And so I talk about what's on my head and what bothers me at any given moment. Sometimes it may be positive stuff, sometimes it may be negative stuff. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stories about fatherhood coming out on some of these things. Also, when I don't start the night holding a baby, we're going to play more games and we're going to do more actual fun stuff. We'll probably still do a decent amount of editing, but more like editing first half, gaming second half. But we kind of started out with a baby, so that threw a spanner into the rest of all that. But I appreciate you guys watching this on rewatch. A couple people watch these on rewatch, which I really appreciate. If you're watching this on rewatch, give me times that are convenient for me to stream, or for me to post re-uploads of the stream and like the episodes of the stream, so maybe you can get the more authentic live watching experience. Just otherwise, give me notes on what needs to improve, what qualities need to be upped, what needs to be increased, even if that's as much as the things I talk about or the things I do or my entertainment factor. I want to know those things as well as audio, video, graphics, subject material. Um, I want to know all those things. So if you happen to watch these and you're watching them, please send me all criticism in the comments. I want to make this a good, I want to give this new hobby, for lack of a better word, new activity, the best try I can. Um, the best thing you can do to show support for this and to help it reach the next levels is, of course, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It's free. Just click the button. I'm gonna not spam you with a whole bunch of uploads. I'm not like a bait ad on sketchy websites. You're just gonna get notifications of my upload, and you can even turn those off if you want. But the subscribing is the best way to show that you endorse me pursuing this activity in life at this time. So do that. I appreciate you guys enjoying this on rewatch. I'll try to stream again soon here in the future, and we'll try to keep making this better and better for you guys. Um, Without further ado, I'm going to go try to get some shut eye with a new baby, and I wish everyone out there that can gets a good night's sleep. See you next time.